house they went in, she said had a, they had their evening or something.
I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Move next to roll call, Clerk Treasurer Aldridge.
Present?
We'll head next to the reading of minutes and approval. We have the minutes from September 4th. Any additions, subtractions, deletions, or amendments that we have to this set of minutes? Should be the last one.
I'm making a motion that we accept the minutes as they are.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have claims in the amount of $165,483.51. Any questions regarding the claims?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the claims. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Move next to department head reports. Is there anything you guys want to report from that hasn't been said in the last 2 weeks?
No, Eric. Not really.
I have nothing.
Probably not, sure.
Pavement Solutions.
Pavement Solutions, yes.
Nope, he said he has nothing.
I've got nothing, but go ahead.
I thought they were come and gone, but they're back now.
They were. We had one street, Samuel Milroy. It was in pretty bad shape. We're going to apply for the grant. But in the event that we didn't get the grant, that street was pretty bad. And I don't believe it was going to make another winter. So we went ahead and sealed it up.
They got enough material down there to do.
They always do that. I don't know what.
I mean, you got a lot of stuff down
I haven't been down there since they did it. They actually did the road today, so I don't know what's left.
there. They still got a lot of stuff down there.
Well, maybe they'll throw in a few extra free streets then. I don't know.
I'll get them.
Any
Not a
other?
problem or anything. I just wondered because I thought they were left town and wouldn't be back.
Yeah,
No,
that's why.
I mean, we're applying for community crossings sometime this week. We'll probably get back in October, but we wouldn't start construction until spring. The road wouldn't hold up, so. Yeah. Any other questions for our department heads? Clerk Treasurer Aldridge? All right. We'll move next to new business. We have 3 contracts. The council did recommend that we execute these contracts. We have one with Ice Miller, one with Umball, one with Butler, Fairman, and Seifert. I know Mike and Matt are here from Butler, Fairman, and Seifert if we have any questions. Pretty much gets us to do the professional service to get us to the end, or to get us to the bond closeout. Umball, part of that's their rate study. They're hoping we approve it because they were in today talking to Leanne. They've been talking to her over the last, since the council approved or recommended
Sent
it.
a ton of reports last week, a ton. And Josh said he thought he'd have it ready tomorrow. Thought he'd be done with his work tomorrow.
So, is there any question regarding the contract with Ice Miller? It's not to exceed $50,000 for the terms that are within.
That's. What are they exactly doing? Do they do the bond?
So they serve as bond counsel, so they already drafted the bond ordinance, the rate ordinance. I'm sure John Julian will get in the information, they'll put it into a document for the ordinance. Consultation with the Indiana Finance Authority.
Do they actually go out for the bond and try to get people to buy the bond, or how do they
No,
market them?
well, because we're going through the state revolving fund as part of the pool program, the state will do that. So they'll get us all the documentation to get us in that.
So they cover our,
Make sure we're legal, consider statutory and constitutional debt limits and everything that we need to be thinking of that we don't have the experience to think about.
what do you need?
Motion to execute the contract with Ice Miller.
I move we execute the contract of April 6, 2018 with Ice Miller for
Not to exceed $50,000.
not to exceed $50,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Ice Miller. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move next to the contract with Umball. So municipal advisory and accounting services for the reservoir utility revenue bonds. So rate study will be the big one in that, but recommendations as to which way to proceed, which they've been providing for a long time, with the SRF and the pool programming.
That you say their rate study should be finished soon?
He thought he was done tomorrow.
And that rate study will be used to determine the rate, assuming an X number of dollars?
Correct. And last I talked to John Julian, well, not the last, but he sent me an email last week that we've been operating for the pool program under 4% interest, and SRF told me to use 3.25. So
It's better yet.
it is pretty good.
Now, are these divided into the two phases? So we're talking about the first phase starting in December, January?
These contracts, I believe it incorporates both, would be my guess. But I'm not 100% sure on that.
So it's not one big lump sum, it's a,
No, we'd be paying by the hour every time of materials.
I know that, but I'm talking about the rate increase. We're in two phases, basically. Each phase conversationally, 7 million conversation.
Right.
And we're gonna decide what the rate is for the first phase and implement that in January, December, January, whatever. And then the second phase will start in 2019 or 20.
Third quarter 2019 probably.
Conversationally, you're
But my
like,
guess is that when they do the rate study, that it'll already include what the rate increases will be starting, this year and third quarter next year.
right, we'll know that, but they won't actually start that.
Right, so the second increase won't start until the time the ordinance says so.
Will they build into that recommendation that they made to,
For incremental increases?
well, that, but also for future needs, capital needs?
So with the numbers that we've been talking about, the 135% increase, that built in, I guess, maintenance items for water towers, the new transmission main, the filtration, and new storage tanks. That was incorporated in those figures. For additional capital expenses, I think they've got 75,000 additional. No, they've got some amount additional built in, but not a lot. Like, yeah, 75,000 is what we have now in terms of capital. But I can't remember what that number is.
If we don't spend the whole 7 million in the first phase, since we've already borrowed the money, where does that money go? Does it go back into the water fund, or does it go in? Does it stay with the water department, does it stay with their budget?
It would, what we would probably do is use some of those funds from the first set of bonds to pay for stuff in the second phase projects. Yeah.
I don't think so.
What do you do with
If
it?
we had excess funds in the,
Because if you're doing bonds, you have to keep it totally separate and account for it. I can't imagine the state revolving was doing anything any different.
so when we return the money.
That's, I would almost think, since that's a state revolving loan, you only are gonna, loan's only gonna be for the amount that you end up doing in that first phase. I don't think they're gonna hand you the X amount of dollars and say, spend it or don't.
Sorry.
So I think you're gonna have to account for every dime you spend, and then that's gonna be the amount of the loan.
So we already got an executed contract for guaranteed savings by that point.
I would think.
Makes sense.
We still have decisions to make on the contracts with the vendors and so on and so forth.
But we've already, because of the timing, we put out a notice for guaranteed savings contract, was a request for proposals.
Correct.
Those have come in October?
October 19th
19th?
is where I believe when they're set to be received. It was advertised in the Comment and the Indianapolis Star on the 12th. It'll be advertised again on the 19th, Wednesday this week. There's a pre-response meeting. I believe that is September
Well, and go back to the question, is the 75,000 enough for us to build into future capital needs? Because I think we were criticized for not having excess money that we could use for this kind of a project, or is that?
I think we should see what Umball comes back with once we get the rate study done and dive into the details.
When they come back with the rate study, it's still ours to accept or not, or change the rate or make the rate whatever?
Right up to the council, because they're gonna be the ones that pass the ordinance.
So that's not chiseled in stone at this point till they come back with their recommendations and they include this and this and this. Okay, this is what the rate we need to do these things. Okay. All right.
Any other questions regarding the contract with Umball?
Do you need a motion to accept that contract?
Yes, sir.
I move we accept the August 14, 2018 contract with Umball.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go next to the contract for Butler, Fairman, and Seifert. Anything you want to add? Any questions for Butler, Fairman?
Is this mostly boilerplate in here?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's our standard contract. The only thing that's a little bit different in the fee schedule, we have that set up for us procuring the project using the guaranteed savings method of procurement. So typically we would have preliminary design, what we're calling preliminary design. We have shown here as scoping documents. That's where we get to 30% with the provider. After we get a provider on board and signed up, we move out of the scoping phase into what is traditionally our final design phase of the engineering.
Are you the guy we're going to be working with?
Yes, sir. You'll be the one that you see. I'll have a team of engineers working on
You
this
got a hard
project.
Any other questions for Butler, Fairman, and Seifert?
So basically, what are you doing? Are you doing all the engineering for phase one?
This contract is for phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay.
It also includes full-time resident inspection for phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay.
And that's projected to occur.
Are you doing the inspection or somebody else doing it?
That would not be me personally, no. I'll be
Somebody
involved.
else with your firm
We
will
have-
do it?
Yes.
We have inspection staff that has experience overseeing projects.
Utilizing this procurement method, it is, I won't say design bid, build, but it's more fluid, and I will be involved more than I typically would on a traditional design bid build project. So
We need somebody's arm to twist, you'll be there?
I got to be the guy, or Mike.
Yeah, I'll probably be involved, but the person running the construction management too will be checking with him. So because if an issue comes up, it's just a construction issue, he can answer it. If it's kind of a design issue, he might go to Matt and say, you know, what do we need to do here? And they collaborate together and make any kind of revisions or decisions that need to be made. So Matt will be involved.
So you're going to deal with the contractor directly,
Mhm.
and you're going to, do they do the bidding process?
They would assist on that.
Correct.
Request for proposals.
And so you're going to write the spec, basically, just for the contractors?
Yes.
But part of that guaranteed savings contract, they're gonna be working with the contractor to develop. We already have a scope of work, we know more or less what needs to be done, but I guess it'll be kind of in the weeds details that you're gonna be working with the
Right. The
contractor.
contractor may have some ideas on ways to save the city some money on doing it a different way. Our job will be to look at it to see if that's in the city's best interest and present all those
Will
options.
that be
to
your
the city.
decision or the city's?
Ultimately, it's the city's decision. We would give recommendations on, this was our initial design, contractor X has come up with this idea. We either agree or not. It would save you this amount of money, it could save you time, those types of things.
Council approves that? Council have to approve that?
For what?
The bid?
No, not for these guys.
Not for them, okay.
This is the PER, right?
No, we already hired
did
them for
that?
the PER, they're done with the PER.
Okay.
This is engineering, this is real deal.
This is it. How soon will you be back to us with the information so that we can get the contracts out?
So, as the mayor alluded to, the request for proposals, is what we call it, for providers, went out last week. There's a pre-response meeting next week. He'll be here at City Hall with the interested providers. We'll go through project scope. And then 2 weeks after that, their proposals will be delivered here to City Hall. We recommend, we anticipate you getting at least 2, maybe 3 different providers that are interested. We typically recommend, and it's all the city's decision, but we typically recommend that you guys hold interviews of those providers. And SRF is asking that the city make a decision on a provider, not necessarily be under contract, but tentatively select a provider by November 1st.
But basically, part of your job is to deal with the contractors and help us make that decision.
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with what we're talking about when we're talking about guaranteed savings? Okay. So they're really not bid, I mean, you're talking about bids, they're really not bids, they're more proposals. Like a normal bid, you pretty much required to take the low bid unless there's an obvious reason why you shouldn't. But in this case, you're looking at the experience of the provider, what they've done in the past, how big the company is, how available they have to do the work, and so you're looking at their whole proposal rather
They
than
don't
just
put a
number.
number down on
They
these
do
papers?
put numbers down.
They
Yeah.
will. The proposal that they turn in, the first proposal is qualifications based. There will not be a number associated with that. So they may put a number in there on what their fee would be. We don't require it, but they may offer that. So it's all open book pricing. They would say that their fee would be anywhere between 12 and 14% on top of what the actual cost is.
So you won't be selecting a fee, you'll be selecting that contractor. Now, that doesn't lock you into a fee. That just, you're selecting to deal with this contractor, negotiate and
Right.
talk about, and for him to give us his maximum price. Then, if there's issues with that, we would sit down with them and say, we're not comfortable with this. This is not what we're expecting. Can you work that? So the only thing you're doing is picking the provider. You're not committing to a number at that time.
Right.
Other than the potential for saving money, what's the advantage of that system?
It's a collaborative team effort.
Does it give us more flexibility?
It does. And the neat thing about this is the contractor, or what we call provider under this code, is working at their own risk all the way up to the point where they sign a contract with you. So we're going to get up to 30% design working with the contractor, provider, and that's all at their risk. At any time you could say, we're going to, traditionally design, bid, build, which we haven't had a community that's totally gone away from it. We've had very good track record, excellent, utilizing this procurement method. And the speed and timing is another big benefit. In order to get to the closing, December 12th, we certainly wouldn't have been able to bid this project traditionally. Even phase 1 design to get.
Do you ever find that this kind of a system encourages the provider or contractor to cover their rear end, knowing that that'll give them some room to make cost savings? I mean, I do this every day. I know
Sure.
exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. So there will be a line item for contingency, and there is some risk in their part. So they're going to set a guaranteed maximum price. They're also going to put contingency in there. Ideally, they don't want that contingency and that risk number to be, overinflated. That doesn't make anybody look good to have, $2 million extra in your contract that you got to figure out what to either. It goes back to the city, gets reamortized back into the loan, or it goes on to phase 2. Those are the types of things. Historically, on most every project, you know, if there's a little bit money left over, there is some wish list items and needs of communities that they're able to utilize. You've already got a provider set up, you've got a good working relationship. That money's there, the savings have been realized. You've seen that throughout the project. We typically have progress meetings once a month. There's going to be a lot of projects, you know, a lot of things going on with this project, so it may be every couple of weeks, and they'll provide buy sheets. So you'll be able to actually see in real time what the project is costing the city. And in the back of your mind, you're either thinking, well, we're going to use the savings for phase 2, or we know that we've got other needs in the system, water mains, fire hydrants, valves, all those types of things.
Is this contract we're talking about for phase 1 only? I know yours is,
okay,
but as far
sure.
as contractors, whoever does the work.
So the way the RFP is set up is that it's to tentatively select a provider based upon phase 1. However, it indicates that there may be future phases, and that's over a 3-year period. You're not obligated to use that provider.
But you can.
But you can.
Without going back out to bid.
Yes, so once they're signed up and under agreement, you can utilize that provider as long as you want for up to 3 years. The other thing I'll premise this with, especially with SRF, this is all drinking water related. If there's something causally connected, you know, we have a sewer that is in the way, you know, we can get that reimbursed through SRF. But to actually go after, you know, if we had savings, SRF would not allow you to do something at the wastewater treatment plant.
What about if they're putting the pipe in and they run across the sewer line that's bad that happened?
Right. That we can justify.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the climate for contractors right now?
I would tell you that the market is flooded.
With work?
With work. Yes. There are 2 providers that we work with, that we've been in contact with, that are very interested in your guys' project. We've had very good success with those 2 contractors, and I expect that both of them will submit proposals to the city.
And do you think they both will submit proposals?
I do.
Do you think there are others that will submit proposals?
There may be 1 or 2 that might. It's tough. These 2 providers in particular are winning all of this type of work, and it's almost discouraging to the other guys a little bit, that they know if these 2 are sending proposals, that it may not be worth their time just because they can't compete.
Any other questions?
That's enough.
Is there a motion to execute the contract with Butler Fairman Cypher?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Now, how soon are we gonna get going? After what'd you say, the 19th?
Yeah, so so Butler, Fairbairn, and Cypher is actively moving along right now. We'll be meeting with providers next week. Once you get your proposals, that will be up to the city on when they would like to conduct interviews. But again, UMBA, SRF are indicating that they would like the city to have a tentative selection by November 1st of a provider. Which
Does
is,
it look like any activity could occur before springtime? Yeah.
I would say late winter, early spring. So we've already, one of your project is basically almost designed. Well 3 to 5 water main and permitted. So that certainly could get started at any time once the provider is selected. And you'll have to go through the process of getting a guaranteed maximum price, whether that's for everything in phase one, or if we want to just start with, that project that's already designed and permitted, and get them going, and then supplement that contract with another, keep building upon that guaranteed maximum price as a possibility. Very flexible on how we move forward, what are the benefits.
What if halfway through the first phase, we find something that actually in the second phase that we either could or should or might do or might need to do in phase one? Is there going to be any conflict? Does the state care, anybody care how many phases we have?
I don't believe this, in terms of the engineering portion of it. We've been working with SRF and have let them know that we are breaking it up into 2 phases. They are going to approve the first phase of the preliminary engineering report for this first closing. If we were, moving through this, find something that's in phase 2 that we want in phase 1, it can be moved. We just have to go through that process with SRF and the environmental review and those types of things that take a little bit of time. It's paperwork basically, but in the past, we haven't had any problem, and the SRF really enjoys this type of procurement as well, because it is very flexible and allows us to get the best project for the city.
I guess
Sure. You got them here.
well, I think you should treat us like novices and explain everything to us. Don't assume that we understand or know things that, because I know in any industry there are keywords and things like that, people saying they assume you know what they're talking about. Don't assume that, at least with me. I think I might know, but it's better to be told and explained, and don't think you're speaking down to us, because you can't speak down to somebody that doesn't know much.
I don't find that to be true.
Talk to us.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and at any time during the process, feel free to contact us. Me particularly, I've been through quite a few of these projects, and it's really a slick way of doing it, for sure.
All right. Any other questions for Bella Fairman? Move on next to clerk treasurer comments. Sure. I don't have anything. I just board
Yeah, you make
comments.
me feel guilty. That's like everybody's supposed to. No, I don't have it.
I have 2 board comments. I'd like to thank Carol for putting together the home tour. It was a huge success. 300 people. People I talked to from Lafayette, Logansport, Monticello, but he said
And Fort Wayne, Brazil.
Yeah.
it was a good day for Delphi.
It was, and they walked. Most of them, a lot of people walked the whole tour of road. They got on the trolley and off, but they did walk a lot, and they just loved the town. Everyone was in a very good mood. We had a couple glitches when they were getting the tickets, but that was minor. But they all were there at 11:30. They had quite an onslaught. But, yeah, they loved the classic cars with the homes and that part, so it was a very, very good event, and Anita said she thinks this is probably the biggest fundraiser they've had at the Opera House.
I did not go on the tour, however,
Your wife
I
did.
got a first-hand 2-hour explanation of every house on the tour and everybody she talked to and so on and so forth, so it was probably almost as good as
Sounds
They
more
were-
exhausting.
They were all nice homes. And we did the Twilight Tour the night before, which was wonderful for the homeowners, so, yeah. It was really good for Delphi.
I'd also like to thank Carol and Nick again for the flower baskets and how much they meant to our community. They look really cool.
We're watering every day.
And remembering that bringing people to our town is critical, because we've had some bad publicity, but we've had a lot better and a lot more good publicity from the things that we've been able to bring people into town. And, business is always, the assumption is if you bring somebody to your plant, there's a 75% chance they're gonna buy something from you. And the same thing is true of a community. If you can bring people to your community, and again, from all over, their knowledge and opinion when the word Delphi comes up is a lot. time,
It
so.
is, and
Process.
we've had people come up to us at 6:30 in the morning and say, just walk up and say, I just want to thank you. You know, we don't expect that, but it was really nice that they think of us, so, you got some good things going here, we just got it going
Keep
forward.
putting one foot in front of the other.
That's right.
Anything?
I don't have anything further.
I
You
did.
guys?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
That's all right. We talked about the same thing last week.
Was that-
We have a motion in a second. Sorry, any public comment? All right, all those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Opposed? It is 6 o'clock on the dot.
Got it.
All right, here.